Today, August 3rd, 2016, is the tricentennial of the city of Natchez. It's our 300th birthday. Not many places in America really get to say they have a 300th birthday. We are one of the oldest settlements on the entire Mississippi River, and we are the oldest on the lower Mississippi River. So we're 2 years older than New Orleans. We got New Orleans beat as well. We're very excited to have a full day of events, and lots of folks from all over the nation are here. We have representatives from the National Park Service. We have people from Mississippi Department of Archives and History. We have senators and congressmen that will be attending events all day long. We start out at 9 o'clock here at the Grand Village, which is where Natchez started with the Natchez people. We'll have a ceremony by the principal chief of the Natchez tribe, the great son, Hutke Fields, and some speaking, and lots of children's games.
300 years today. We're super excited about all of the festivities that are going on, and we're looking for towards the next 300 years for Natchez, and we're kicking it off here at the Grand Village, to honor the indigenous people of this area, the Natchez Indians, which is so appropriate. But it's going to be a fun day of activities and celebration and recognition, so it's going to be a great day for Natchez. The Grand Village is a village that houses several Indian mounds here. It is historically significant, and actually when you look at all of Natchez, it's all a national treasure. I mean, there's a wealth of history throughout Natchez, and of course the second largest mound in the United States is several miles from us, Emerald Mound, which is also here in the Adams County area. So this is a very important area, significant in respect to the Native Americans. It served many things prior to the Civil War. For one thing, there were more millionaires in Natchez than any other city, and that's not per capita, more than millionaires than any other. It was rich in agriculture, it was a social place, and it was a history-creating place.
There are two mounds behind me. There's the Great Son's Mound, which is the one closest to me, and then the Temple Mound, which is behind it. This particular site served as the main ceremonial center for the Natchez people at the time of French interaction and colonization in the New World, which was late 17th and early 18th century. For a variety of reasons, these mounds here primarily serve for two purposes. One, it was burial mounds, and also to have structures on top of. So the mound that's closest to me had the Great Son's house on top of it, and the mound in the back towards the back near the wood line had a temple on it. So it actually served as the temple mound for the Natchez people. By the time these mounds were built, agriculture was pretty widespread in North America, primarily with corn and also with beans and squash and other items. If you have stuff like that, you're able to feed a lot of people, which leads to building earthen mounds. But the Natchez people and other Native Americans in the Southeast were also ardent warriors as well, and they were able to rise and rank oftentimes through warfare and various other deeds.
300 years ago, this was an occupied village full of Natchez Indians, and you would have seen ceremonies going on. You would have seen ordinary people cooking food and playing with children, and you would have seen early French explorers who are out here trading with them. This is a very significant Indian mound, because only here at the Grand Village were the mounds still occupied when the early French explorers came, so we have accounts of the activities that took place on these mounds.
My ancestors lived here 300 years ago and used this place as a central area for the government. We also used Emerald Mound for ceremonies and trade and things like that. We had trouble with the French, as if you know the history of the area, and we had to disperse amongst the Chickasaw and the Cherokee, most of those tribes being further east from here.
What made your ancestors so special?
I believe all our ancestors from this continent are really special. They were hard hitters. They were go-getters. The reason that our language has survived 300 years after we had trouble with the French is because of our women, our families, and their desire to keep things good in a ceremonial way, I guess you could say.
I want to say, and I want you to join me in saying, Happy birthday, Natchez! Woo! I'm not going to take but just a second to say a welcome. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for participating so much in so many of the wonderful events. Today is a day full of them. You'll find all kinds of different things at different parts of the day. I want to also extend a special welcome today to Kelton Rowland, who is the Honorary Consul of France, who is joining us today for all of the events. Thank you for having us. Thank you so much, and I'm going to give it right back to Lance. Y'all have fun, stay cool.
And happy birthday to Natchez. First of all, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen and the people of Natchez, we would like to welcome all of our special guests that are joining us here today. We have, as Lance mentioned, a lot of state people that are here, and we have, of course, the Mayor of Clarksdale, Bill Luckett here, former Mayor Kane Ditto, from Jackson here, and other city officials from across the state. We want to personally welcome them to Natchez and to all of the people who've come in. Today is so appropriate to kick off the day here at the Grand Village, to pay honor to the indigenous people of this area, the Natchez Indians. And we're happy to have the chief here, and we're just super excited about today. Today is full of celebration, and we're looking forward to the next 300 years in Natchez. And we're planning on taking Natchez to the next levels, raising the bar, making it the true national treasure that Natchez is. Natchez sits on the national treasure, the Mississippi River, and we're going to make this treasure shine with the help of the people of Natchez and the help of the people of the state of Mississippi. God bless you. We look forward to all of the activities today.
Thank you, Mayor Grinnell. As many of you who are around Natchez know, the National Park Service has had a tremendous impact on this community. And at this time, I'd like to invite the National Park Service Associate Director of Cultural Resources, Partnerships and Science, who also serves as the keeper of the National Register, Stephanie Toothman, to make some remarks. Stephanie?
So I'm so pleased to be here today to celebrate the 300th birthday of Natchez, Mississippi. Director Jonathan Jarvis sends his congratulations to all of you and joins me in thanking all the many partners who have worked with the city, state, tribes, and National Park Service staff to put together an exciting program of events for today's celebrations. These are the same partners who work together year-round to share the stories and preserve the many historic and cultural sites that reflect the thousands of years of human history represented here in Natchez and here at this very site. This year, we are also celebrating the 50th anniversary of the National Historic Preservation Act, which created the National Preservation Program, which is built as well on a partnership of state, tribal, and local federal governments, as well as the contributions of public and private individuals and organizations. This partnership recognizes that the strength of the historic preservation movement in the United States is built on its origins in the grassroots efforts of citizens around the country to preserve the stories and sites that make up our shared heritage.
And today is a great opportunity to celebrate the strong federal, state, and local partnership that has been at the heart of the success of the preservation movement in Mississippi for many decades. Most recently, the Department of Archives and History worked with the Federal Highways Administration and the Mississippi Department of Transportation to launch the Mississippi Mound Trail, which highlights some of the largest and oldest mound groups in the nation, each with a unique story to tell about the people who lived here. Grand Village is the southern anchor of the trail. I want to thank the Mississippi Legislature for your support for the Mound Trail and all the work we do, and recognize Representative Sam Mims and any other legislators who may be here today. We're about to begin the reconstruction, and you can see it's needed, of the Natchez Hut exhibit here, thanks in part to a grant from the National Park Service's Lower Mississippi River Delta Initiative. And of course, today's celebrations and the full year of events celebrating the Tricentennial are hosted jointly by the National Park Service. Our Park Service friends are out in full force today, Kathleen Bond, and you'll see others here. The City of Natchez, thank you, Mayor Darrell Grinnell, for your great leadership. Mayor Grinnell is a strong preservation partner, and of course, former Mayor Butch Brown led the early planning for today's events. Want to recognize him. And also the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Tricentennial Commission. Grand Village is a perfect place. It's a little hot, but it's a perfect place to launch today's celebration of the Natchez Tricentennial. Of course, you know, this was the ceremonial center for the Natchez people during the late 17th and early 18th centuries when French colonists and explorers first came to this area. We learned a lot about the history of this place during very early archaeological excavations led by Archives and History archaeologist Morrow Chambers as early as the 1930s, and later excavations led by Archives and History archaeologist Stuart Neitzel in the 1960s and 70s. It was Neitzel and MDAH director at the time, Elbert Hilliard, who had the great foresight to reach out to members of the Natchez Nation in Oklahoma, particularly Mr. Archie Sam, to get a better understanding of the history of this site. That relationship between the department and the Natchez Nation continues to this day, and we're very honored to have Mr. Hutke Fields here with us today. Mr. Fields, he's probably standing in the shade. Mr. Fields, thank you for being with us. This story and the entire Native American experience in Mississippi will be one of the most important stories that we tell in the Museum of Mississippi History, which will open alongside the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum December 9th, 2017 in Jackson in celebration of Mississippi's bicentennial. Please mark your calendars and be with us on that historic day.
Jinkololo, Widashogonanos, Natalgi Waltalon, Manapampi Yashnakati, Hutke Fields in the Wish, Mana Chogu. Kahap. Amidalawa Abeka Hangushinoash Moment. Alegi Soku. And that's the most Nachi that has been spoken here since about 300 years ago. I did basically what Lance just said, but they call me White Bird or White Crane, and my clan is Bird. So all my elders and the ones that would have come before me would roll over in their graves unless I included my clan and my town and things like that. I was going to tell you our creation story, which is a long one, but I won't make it that long. All our people say that we were plopped down here by an eagle after the Creator made man out of clay and breathed life into this man, and then out of the man came a woman. It's different than the rib thing. Each man that the Creator made sneezed, and out came a woman. And additionally, they say that when the eagle plopped us down here on this land, that it was all wet. There was mud everywhere and water. And when the men crawled up on this island, North America, the people say that first came out of the water a group of a man with his woman. First came out of the water, and they were kind of light. The water was really muddy then, and they went one way, and then second came out of the water. There was kind of a yellowish person that came out, and they went another direction. And then keeping in mind that the water's really muddy, the next kind of people that came out of that water were the reddish brown people, and they went another direction. And then the last ones that came out of the water were what we call now black people. And they all went in different directions. Our purpose on earth is to remain at peace with all these people. Our purpose today is to preserve our Natchez language, which is almost gone. These mounds were made by what historians would say are our predecessors. My people say we've had the same form of government for 19 going on 20,000 years. It takes 4 clan mothers and 2 chiefs who can't do anything without each other. We still have that form of government today. Our people have kept that government that long, and our language has survived for 300 plus years, however you want to look at it, after we had a little bit of trouble with the French. And I think we still need to shake hands and make up, because that was a deep wound. Anyway, our people went from here, after we had the trouble with the French, mostly to the east. We kept that same form of government, although our great son of that time was sold into slavery and died on the way to Barbados to be a slave. We're still here. There's at least 75,000 of us in Cherokee Nation, quite a number of us in the Muskogee Creek Nation, a whole bunch of us in the Chickasaw Nation, and we're proud to have our communities. We're proud to have our language. We're really proud. To come down here to Natchez, our home. Ayaw this morning man di ko sa ni jigejibidos. But hey di can ni talk my door. I'm done talking. Thanks for listening.
What I wanted to do today, just for a few minutes, is to talk about what the people who lived here in 1716, the Natchez people, what they may have thought about the coming of Fort Rosalie. I say may have because we can not know what was in their minds, unfortunately. We don't know whether they considered the French to be a blessing and a curse, or a blessing or a curse, but I can speculate that something that was high on their list of priorities when Fort Rosalie began to take shape here was their desire to have increased access to European trade materials. By the time Fort Rosalie came along, an entire generation of Natchez people had been born and raised and lived within a society fully equipped with merchandise from Europe and other places. Guns, ammunition, powder, blankets, clothing, all kinds of metal tools and weapons, things they could not produce for themselves. So with the coming of the French, that meant increased access to these things. The Natchez had been trading and getting these materials for quite some time from both the French and the English, but the English were a long way away in Carolina. The French were getting closer. The French established a trading post here at Natchez in 1714, and so that led then to the establishment of Fort Rosalie. Something that the French and the Natchez could never have envisioned, though, today, 300 years ago, when they set the final post of the fort, they could never have envisioned the profound effect that that fort would have on this area. The presence of Fort Rosalie meant that this area was a viable location for a colony under John Law's Company of the Indies. And this proved to be a problem for the Natchez. The Natchez had known Frenchmen for years, for decades. But the kind of Frenchmen they knew the voyageurs, the missionaries, the people who, rough and ready, backwoods people who lived among the Natchez, lived among the Indians. They learned to speak some of their languages. Most importantly, the voyageurs, most of these people coming out of Canada, knew the sounds and gestures that they had to make in order to move safely among these Indian groups and to come and go on a friendly basis. The people coming over here with the Company of the Indies beginning in 1718 were from villages and farms and cities in France, and they didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue at all about the people they were coming to live among. Now the voyageurs and the missionaries, they accepted the Indians on the Indians' terms. It was the other way around with the Company of the Indies. The people moving in here to work for the Company of the Indies and set up these tobacco plantations demanded that the Natchez take them on their terms. Most of you know the history, what happened, the misunderstandings, the arguments, the disagreements over concepts like property ownership and debt. When the Natchez rose up to attack Fort Rosalie and attack the French colony here in 1729, just 13 years after the fort was established, it was the beginning of the end for not only the Natchez, the Natchez people who had been in this place here for 1,000 years, but the end of the French colony, the people living here in the Natchez area, and also the end of the Company of the Indies concession in Louisiana. It all collapsed. Ironically, the thing that remained was Fort Rosalie. If you went to Vin Stepanidis' talk at Monday nights, you know that the fort was rebuilt by the French. It came back to life and was still here, and was here throughout the rest of the 18th century as a viable installation. There's a lot more to the story, and I know you'd love to just sit there and listen to me go on about it all morning, but it's a hot day. They've got some donuts and refreshments inside the Grand Village there. Thank you all so much for coming out here today. It means a lot to me to be back at this place. It's very special to me, and it means a lot when it meant a lot when I drove up out there and saw all the cars parked out on Jeff Davis Boulevard, just like it was the powwow or something going on. So thanks for being here. Thank you, Lance, for inviting me to speak. Hutke, good to see you again. Thank you. History is important, especially the French colonial history, because we don't know enough of it from our schools and education, which focuses mostly on our English, British heritage. It's important to have events like this to emphasize the French colonial heritage in the lower Mississippi Valley.
We get so caught up in our daily lives that we forget how we got here. And I think you need to take time out of yourself in your daily routine to immerse yourself in something like this.
If you come to Natchez, you can see the Grand Village of the Natchez Indians, which I said served as the last ceremonial mound center for the Natchez people. Adams County also happens to hold the second largest mound in North America, which is Emerald Mound, which the Natchez people also built and utilized as well. And there are also a variety of other beautiful things to see in Natchez, Mississippi.
Why is Natchez such a special place for people to visit?
Well, it's because of the spectrum of history and the spectrum of architecture and just interesting things. And one of the most important assets are the great people. We have wonderful people here in Natchez, and we sit on a national treasure, the Mississippi River, and again, Natchez itself is a national treasure.
We actually have a lot of events that are going on the rest of the year, and we'll go all the way through to New Year's Eve. Our next major event is Navy Week in Natchez, which will be September 11th through the 14th. Major Navy participation and static displays and Navy concerts, and really celebrating the military and celebrating our veterans. We have the first annual Biscuit Festival coming the end of September. Of course, we have Fall Pilgrimage and Balloon Race, which is our annual events, but we are having a special spin with the Tricentennial. Then the British are coming. Truly, we celebrate our British history, which is one of the three early colonial periods. We have an international basketball competition with teams from Great Britain that will be coming in November, and a fabulous parade that's going to be in the beginning part of December. And then we will end the year the same way we started, with Unity Prayer and Praise, which is a non-denominational coming together of the entire community to say, to really celebrate the year, but also begin the new year on a very positive, unified way.
I'm always impressed by the spirit every time I come down here, by the people of Natchez. We come down here every year to the powwow and honor our mounds and dance amongst the people that are here for that powwow. It's a great thing to be able to come back every year.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
Contact us at NatchezMS300.com, or you can always call the Natchez Visitor Center, which is 601-446-6345, and all the information will be right there for you.
They can actually go to our website, Natchez, or they can contact our visitor center, and that's where the wealth of information. Another source is the Historic Natchez Foundation. All of those are excellent resources to find out more about Natchez and the opportunities that we have to offer here in Natchez.